Good morning, folks. Out for a ride this morning. It's not too hot yet, so I thought I'd better come out before it gets too hot. It's going to get up to about 90 degrees today, and so got to get my ride in beforehand. Plus I got to run an errand down to the dealership, and so I'm out and about. Some significant news for the channel, in the sense that I've got a surprise to announce, and actually I'm going to announce it pretty darn soon, as soon as I get to the park and get off the bike, and I'll make my announcement and show you what I'm talking about. Well, I'm at the park now, and beautiful day. It's not too hot yet, and out for a little ride, like I said before. And now it's time to reveal the surprise that I had mentioned coming to the channel. That's the surprise. Welcome to the new bike, Grumpy Ghost. It's a 2014 S1000R, and it's got low. When I bought it, it had low miles. It's still got low miles, 3571 when I bought it, and I put maybe a couple hundred miles on it so far. It's in pristine condition, as you can probably see. This been garage kept by someone who owned 6 bikes, or owned at the time, including this one, 6 bikes, and he hardly rode this one for various reasons, and he decided to sell this one because he wasn't riding it enough. I washed it yesterday, gave it its first wash, even though it didn't really need a wash, but to get to know a bike, you really have to wash it. That's when you really get to see all the flaws, if there are any. And in this bike there are no flaws. I just did discover that it does have something that I was going to install myself. A matter of fact, I ordered it, and here it is. This is a charging cable. I ordered a charging cable before discovering that the bike had one. He put a few additional things on, sliders, and that chain adjuster, both sides. He's got sliders there, he's got sliders on the engine here, and he's got front axle sliders as well. Bike is fully loaded. He's got the chip in it as well that enables Dynamic Pro. So it's got cornering ABS, cornering traction control, and he also included these two, the Wunderlich tank bag and also the NAV4. This NAV4 is actually better than the NAV4 that I had. It has got a little bit brighter picture and is more responsive, and it also came with a cradle. He threw that all in, plus he threw in all of the panels that he took off. Like this panel here is a gray panel, really, but he got the white one from, is it an S1000RR? And the front fender is also a black one. He switched that out with an S1000RR suspension, and he's given me all the parts for that, as well as a couple of windscreens that he had, all for a really good price. So I couldn't pass this deal up. Looking at that asymmetric face there, you can see the odd headlights, and that is the one thing that I don't like about this bike. Not the asymmetric headlights, by the way, I love that, but the fact that when the low beams are when the bike is switched on, the low beams come on, and then when you switch the high beams on, you know, this is a known thing with S1000R motorcycles from the States. When you switch the high beam on, the low beam goes off, which is, to me, bullcrap. Radiator and oil cooler in good condition, but I've got some guards coming, so I'll be installing guards for that to make sure that they don't get damaged from stone chips flung up by this very short front fender. What can I say about riding this bike? This bike has got some powerful brakes, I can tell you that. It looks to be the same brakes as on the RS, but I don't know. On this bike they're adjusted such that the slightest pull and it really powerfully stops the bike. Exhaust. The exhaust is pretty cool, standard exhaust. I like the size of it, I like the look of it, it fits in with the design of the bike, and I'm probably not going to change that. Sound is great as well. And the specs of the bike, I'm going to throw that up on a separate slide, but this bike has got a hell of a lot of power and really fun to ride. It's a completely different riding experience. I have not ridden the RS in a couple of days since getting this bike, because this bike is parked behind the RS in my garage, so I've got a problem there. Whatever bike is going to be ridden has got to be at the back, so this one keeps coming out. But today I'm going to have to bring this one back home and bring the RS out for a ride, and that should be an interesting ride, because it will be the first time that I'll be riding it since taking delivery of this bike. My muscle memory is already kicked in, and I'm, you know, kind of accustomed to this bike now, so the RS will be different. These here are LED indicators that he also put on. He put on those LED indicators, and they usually come with the Euro spec bikes, so front and rear. Perfect. Wind protection. This is a great bike for summer because there's no windscreen and you get a lot of that breeze. But the thing is, the breeze is very smooth, so there's no buffeting. However, that said, if you're going to be riding long distances and you're going to be riding at speed, your neck is going to get tired. Also, some people complain about this seat as not being all that comfortable. I find so far in the riding that I've done that it's been pretty comfortable. I've ridden this bike for a couple of hours, being on the saddle for a couple of hours, and I don't have any problem with comfort. So that's it. Quick shifter. Unfortunately, this bike doesn't have a quick auto blipper down, but it does have a quick shifter up, and that works a treat. So no complaints there. I'm back to a chain with this bike. I don't really have an issue with that. I'm going to be using this bike as a commuter and basically just weekend fun rides and that kind of thing. So not a long distance ride. I did have to buy a little cozy to cover up this, what my wife calls a pee bottle. It looks like pee in there in a little clear plastic bottle. So we've got that covered up, and I'm going to get some clear plastic film to go underneath this Wunderlich bag, because that there will start to scuff the paint. Right now I've got some saran wrap underneath there to be in place until I get my cling wrap. Well, not cling wrap, but protective 3M protective vinyl cover. I'm going to get that tomorrow, I believe. So I'm going to put that on. And I'm also going to install USB charger and also a garage door opener. I'm going to probably put the garage door opener button somewhere here or something like that. I think there's a little bit of space in there. And yeah, the mirrors. Well, let's talk about the vibration. So this bike, one of the things that I didn't want when I was looking at buying my RS, or before I bought my RS, I was looking at the S1000 XR, and I fell in love with that bike. Fast forward 5 years and I've got a cousin to that bike here in the S1000R. But one of the things that I didn't like was long distance vibration at cruising speed, and it made your hands kind of tingle. This bike has some vibration, but it's not as much as the XR. I find that the vibration is acceptable. However, what happens is, because these mirrors are located on the handlebars, the vibration is transmitted from the handlebars into the mirrors, and at about 80 miles an hour, this mirror gets kind of blurry. This mirror doesn't have the same degree of blurriness, so there's a difference between left and right. I don't know why there would be a difference between left and right, but there is a difference. This one is more blurry than that one there when the vibration kicks in. I can still see cars and all of that, so it's still functional. But the main thing is that my hands don't tingle. like they did on that shorter test ride with the XR. So I'm happy with that. But yeah, that's the new bike, and I'll be doing a proper review and a comparison later on when I get some more time. But for now, I just wanted to introduce this bike and show you a little bit of footage and sound from this bike. It makes such a sweet sound. The 4-cylinder is undeniably, it's perfect. There's a fly on my tank right there. Let me take some pictures now, and then I'll jump on and go for some more riding. Bloody road surface is still being fixed. I know, like 6 months it's being fixed. This engine has got horsepower and torque all throughout the rev range. It doesn't really matter what gear you're in, you can still pull. It's fantastic, honest to God. Completely different character than the RS. Right now I've got the bike in road mode, so not dynamic, just road, and I've got the suspension in dynamic damping control, and because there is no auto blipper down, I have to relearn how to do my downshifts right, which is probably not a bad thing. The RS spoiled me with the auto blipper, but having said that, I would love if this bike had an auto blipper, because you don't have to use it if you've got it, but if you don't have it, you miss it sometimes. But the quick shifter up, oh my God, it's a dream. It's still just like the RS. The quicker you're accelerating, the quick shifter, the quicker I should say the smoother the quick shifts are. So if you're just accelerating slowly, you'll feel a jerk, you know, with the quick shifter. But if you're accelerating faster, oh, it's so smooth, it's like a switch. The gearbox on this bike is very nice. It's very, very short throws on the lever, so it's really nice, and it just sneaks into gear. In no time at all, you're in 6th gear. Unlike with the RS, you know, you can tell, yeah, there's got more top end, but riding a 4-cylinder, you always feel that you have to shift up, up, up to make the bike, make the engine quieten down. And but when you hit 6th gear and you're looking for 7th and 8th, you run out of gears. But then you look at the tach, and the tach is only saying like 5,000, you know, revs, and you realize with a red line of 12,000, there's a hell of a lot more headroom, and you get there really fast. So it's an exhilarating bike to ride. These bloody corners, I have to treat them with respect, because the Pirelli Diablo Corsa tires that I have on this, they kind of they react well to all of those grooves, and they pick up on all that grooves, and they can pull the bike around. There's another one. These corners with the grooves on it, followed by another one. Actually, these grooves aren't as bad as the ones I was on yesterday on a different road. Those are really, you know, it really pulled the bike, made it feel a little unsteady. Best to treat those kinds of corners with respect. I'm so glad that there's nobody on the road in front of me today. I can ride a little bit quicker than I normally would have to ride if there was traffic. This is so much nicer. Ooh, yeah. This turn is the worst turn on this road, and it's got this grated road surface on the go as well, so it makes it doubly worse. But that's it for those tight turns. We're going to come to the end of this road in a little while. It's a nice little road. Oh, there's another turn here. It's not as bad as that one. But in suburban Houston, not a hell of a lot of roads you're going to find that's got some nice twists in it. This is about as twisty as it's going to get in suburban Houston. You've got to go into the hill country in Texas before you get roads with lots of nice turns, and even then can't compare to places like Arkansas and Oklahoma, Missouri, Tennessee. All of those states have roads that are more fun for motorcyclists. Texas has got lots of roads that are just straightaways, you know, and make for high speed. That's why in Texas we've got higher speed limits than in many other states, because the roads are generally in good condition and they don't have too many bends. So you find the top road limit that I've come across, speed limit that I've come across here in Texas is 85, and I haven't come across 85 anywhere else. I haven't ridden extensively in the United States, but from the states that I've been in, that's probably the highest. So now this bit here is a scenic route, not too many twists in it. It's got some beautiful sweepers in it. It's also a nice road. Okay, let's pass this guy. Just like that. Gotta be careful with this bike. You can get a ticket quite easily. I don't ride fast all the time. As a matter of fact, I ride fairly slowly. I do ride according to the road conditions, but usually it's just about 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. And well, when I do overtake, I do not like to leisurely overtake anybody. I believe in overtaking as quickly as possible, getting them out of the way and putting them behind me. I do not like to pull into the left lane and then, try to pass this person at 5 miles an hour faster than they're going. And I hate people passing me like that as well. You're gonna pass, positively. So whenever I pass anybody, I usually give it the beans, and the pass is done within a couple of seconds. And then I slow back down to the speed limit or whatever. Right now I'm doing 57. I think I'll up that to 60 just to have a round number, and put the cruise control on so I don't get into trouble, and then that's good. Funnily enough, I noticed that this bike drinks more gas than the RS. I'm getting, if I'm riding slower, I'm getting about 37 miles an hour per gallon. When I say slower, I mean like below 70. Above 70 in 6th gear, I'm gonna get, so if I go onto the highway now and I set the cruise control on to 80 and I cruise at 80, I'll get 38 miles a gallon. Since owning this bike, I've gotten a high of 42 miles a gallon, and that's just riding slowly on a full tank of gas. Just having reset the meter, riding slowly around the subdivision, I've hit 42. But I've never seen that again. Of course, riding this bike kind of like you feel like twisting the throttle more, so obviously your mileage is going to suffer. Another thing about this bike is it can get pretty hot. You feel the heat in your bum and behind your thighs. You can feel that heat radiating. So in the summer, while it's cooler for the breeze in front, your butt is hotter than on the RS. The RS is a very cool bike to ride, honest to God. You don't appreciate it until you ride a hyper naked like this one, or a super bike, and then you really appreciate the heat control on the RS. Right now I'm cruising at 60 and there's no vibration in the handlebars. That mirror that I talked about is pretty clear and it's nice and smooth, and the engine is turning over at 4200 revs, so not spinning too high, and this is comfortable for me. That's one of the things that's going to keep me in legal speeds, is keeping those revs down. I mean, I like the fact that the bike can spin up to 12,000, but that high RPM whine gets to me after a while. That's why I wouldn't have a bike like this for a long distance tourer. A long distance tourer, you need taller gearing, you need a slower turning engine, and you need a lot of torque. And that's why I think that the RS is very well suited. brings us to the end of this video. Hope you had a good time watching the new addition to my stable and the introduction of Grumpy Ghost. The RS is Grump the Grey. That's his name. And this guy is Grumpy Ghost because he's all white. Anyway, I'm almost back to my house. So, until I see you next time in the next video, keep the shiny side up, stay safe, and watch your social distancing, and don't let COVID-19 grab a hold of you. Take care.